Yeah, so along the way in your discovery process, um, you discovered the craft of making jewelry. You discovered the craft of making cosmetics. Uh, and were all these discoveries just from exploration, or?
Most of it was about my own process of healing myself, and so I would say that when I was kind of coming of age, late teens into my 20s, when I was probably around a sophomore, junior in college, was when one is I was in this process of really asking a lot of questions of, why do I do what I do? Why did I make certain choices? And so a part of that process, one, was looking at, I was becoming very I was in this process of exploring, diet and health. And so I had begun to question why I was eating certain things, why I had asked my mother when I was 11 or 12 if I could perm and straighten my hair. I begged her. And so I began to ask myself, why did I make these choices? Was it something that I really wanted to do, or was it something that I felt like I had to do? And when I recognized that some of the answers to those questions weren't based on real things, I began to change those things. And so a part of that process was changing how I ate. And so I became a vegetarian somewhere between like 19 and 21. I went through this process of changing my diet, and but when I was doing that, I began to not only question what I was putting in my body, I also questioned what I was putting on my body. So as I learned about how the body works and how and the organs and the functions of the body, I began to question the things that I was using on my body. So, the soaps and the lotions and the shampoos and the conditioners and the makeup. And so that just led me on this exploration. So much of that was about my own process and wanting to be healthy and wanting to be whole for myself. And then after that, as I, just shared me with friends and family, it became sharing these other parts and pieces of who I was and what I was doing. And then as even with making jewelry, and specifically gemstone jewelry, that also was, jewelry was what I did, just like with writing, it was what I did to heal and to process my own life. And so it was a hobby of sorts that, I can sit down with some other women and bead, and it was stress relief, it was bonding time. And but when I got maybe to about 21, 22, I met this brother here in Pittsburgh, brother Naeem Davis. And he is a Rastafarian, and he was kind of in the arts and like cultural scene, and he was on the scene with a lot of poets, and he would bring his handcrafted jewelry around, and he worked primarily with gemstones and did a lot of wire work, and I was very much intrigued by that, and when I began to learn about the properties of crystals and stones, and that they reflected the same things of what we were made up of, I was just fascinated, and it went with my process of being healthy and food and products on the skin. And so all of it to me is all
All related.
it's all the same thing. And so, I think that we like to look good as, as human beings, as black people, but we also should feel good and be good. And so, so that's the journey that I've been on, and it hasn't obviously been a perfect journey, but it's been the journey that I am committed to.
Well, your knees don't look
working.
too bad.
They still give me a little problem here and there, but.
So, in the process of jumping through these hurdles of life, you continue to, explore yourself. And another aspect that I've seen you is as a dancer. How did you get to African dance? What does it do for you?
I'm a late bloomer dancer, and late bloomer as in, I didn't really start dancing, going to dance classes until I was maybe like 22, 23. And it was something as a young girl, I always wanted to, I always wanted my mom to put me in dance classes or gymnastics or something. I felt like that was always in me, but it wasn't anything that I could convince my parents to do on my behalf. And honestly, I don't know how hard I tried. I know that maybe when I was in the 7th grade, I was in like a drill team, sort of a group, and I twirled the flag in a fake wooden gun, and and that was the most in terms of the movement that I had really been involved in any kind of like organized way. And so when I was in my early 20s, back in Pittsburgh from Penn State, I heard about a dance class happening at the Homewood Y that was being taught by Brother Thomas Chapman and Sister Desiree Davis at the time. She's Lee now. And I started going to that class. And, and it was difficult for me at first because I had never done African dancing before. And the concept of, polyrhythm was hard for my body to, adjust to. But it, over time, it came together and I could move my arms and my legs and my head in a coordinated fashion. Yeah, and it felt really good. It began to just do something for me, through those movements that I couldn't do with my hands, in terms of writing or in terms of making, butters and jewels, something that really involved my whole body. And I think that it was the relationship also with that drum that spoke to me in ways that I hadn't been spoken to before. Yeah.
A new language. Very good.